right? So like I said, we only have about 40 minutes. So anything that you want to ask regarding stock investing, stock trading, you can type there in the chat box. I will answer those. If you have a specific company that you want me to cover in terms of chart analysis, just write the name there, then we'll quickly look at the name of that particular company. From my side, I don't have anything to add. For those that don't know, we have published a free ebook on well, it's not introduction, it's a guide to stock investing. That ebook you can find on our Gumroad website. But if you are on YouTube, any of the YouTube videos that will be uploading, okay, we've already started adding that into the description. So if you can just go to our YouTube channel, you will see the link there. We will also upload this session. We are recording it so that you are mindful, so that I don't violate your POPIA Act. All right. So I'll just be waiting for your questions. I hope that you all can see my screen, so that if there's something specific that you want to ask, you can just ask, so that I can quickly plot it. But one of the stocks that I was looking at recently is Nedbank. Depending on how often I communicate with you, there are people that bought the ebooks that I communicate with regular. There are people that are members of the Telegram group that I communicate with regular. But also I just sent out the weekly newsletter. If you don't receive the weekly newsletter, if you download that ebook, the free ebook, then I will have your email address every time when we send a weekly newsletter. Usually it's on Sundays, we send it to everyone. So there's no exclusion there. Right, so I said that I was bullish on Nedbank. As you can see that the share price was moving up there, and then it broke above this level previously. So after breaking above this level, it consolidated, forming a trading range. So it's been bouncing up and down in this trading range. What I was waiting for Nedbank to break above this resistance level here, as we saw. So last week, but a week before that, if you look at this candle here, it attempted to close above this level, but it was not convincing. And then in the past week, I'm using the weekly time frame. If you look up there at the top, you can see that I'm using the weekly time frame. So last week it closed above this level. So I sent a communication to the group, Telegram group, to say that I'm buying Nedbank at this level. So now what I'm expecting from Nedbank is that Nedbank is going to continue to trade higher. As you can see, my target is around 244 Rand per share. So that target, it's either it corresponds to this level in here. So we always speak about an area of value. You know, when people are showing you charts, sometimes they show you a trend line. So the price can touch this line, or it can turn anywhere before touching this line. So the reason why we call it an area of value, so that if the share price or whatever price, it's anywhere in between these two levels, then we can expect that the share price can turn anywhere without necessarily touching any of the specific line. So that is why we use a concept of an area of value rather than a concept of a trend line. Not to say that there's something wrong with a trend line. As you can see here, the price, it kept on changing. Either it's at the top of this trend line, or it's at the bottom of the trend line. But this just gives us an idea of what is happening there. Right. So yeah, I mean, I understand that some people, they treat it as a line, but for myself, I don't treat it as a line. There are so many ways to look at it. And then if you look at the price, we've been talking about oil for quite some time in this channel. We even have, okay, I just want to make sure that I find the right chart that I'm using for oil, because there are different kinds of oil. They are coming from different brokers. So depending on the broker that you are using, you're going to get a different information. But in essence, it should look the same. So previously we said that oil price has been trading higher, finding a bit of resistance here, and then breaking above this level. But if you move the chart to the side a bit, you can see that there was a resistance level somewhere here. So we expected the price of oil to find a bit of resistance at this level. What we are doing, we're not trying to predict what the share price is doing. We're just noting all the different support and resistance levels so that we see how the price behave, at least when it comes to those levels, right? So here, what you saw here was that bounce coming down. So there was this breakout from this previous resistance level. So if the price go up, then it pulls back. If there was let's say there was a breakout here, what you normally expect is that the share price is going to bounce somewhere near the resistance level, and then if it starts moving up, we also expect that it can find a resistance at the top part, right? So when it goes there, we're always using the closing price. Let me try to admit everyone that is here. I'll just continue with that in a moment. I just want to make sure that I see everyone that is trying to enter. Okay, it's just one person, right? So now, as I was saying, that what we normally anticipate is that since we use the closing price, we want to see the top of the candle above the area of value. Then that gives us a confirmation that the share price has broken the resistance level. Even if we are looking at a support level, we also look at the closing price. If the share price closed below this level, then we say that there's a confirmation. You see, like I said, we're not predicting, we're just anticipating that piece of action. When it happens, then we act based on the closing price. So in this case, we saw that Brent crude, it came here, it couldn't go up, then it came back finding support here. As you can see that it's not just a line, it's a large area because there are also these lower prices in here. So the people that, okay, let me see. Zoto says she can't hear. Martin, can you type and say if you hear me, or anyone can type to say that you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So I don't know what is happening, Zoto, on your side. Martin says he can hear me. I hope that the other participants can hear me. Okay, there is a crazy MT2. He says he can hear me as well. Please adjust your audio on your side, Zoto. Right. So I was saying that the weeks or the previous lower prices can also tend to pull the prices down. Remember, whenever we are trading, Jabulani Nkosi also says that he can hear me. I wonder if Jabulani Nkosi is the one that was my classmate in high school, right? So let me just give a brief intro on what is a candlesticks patterns for those that are not familiar. So most people, they trade using candlesticks. Typical candlesticks look like this. So if it's green like this one, we say that the price is moving up. So this is the low of the candle and this is the high of the candle. Then we have the opening price here and the closing price here. So basically when we say it's bullish, we mean that the opening price, okay, Zoto says she can hear me now. We say that the opening price is lower than the closing price, meaning that the market closed higher. And then if it's a bearish candle, it's the opposite, except the lows and the high. So the lows remains the low and the high remain the high. But now the market opens higher and then it closes lower, right? So that's what we are looking for. So if we are either using a resistance level or we're using a trend line, we are just expect, if you say the market closed higher, we expect that the top part of the candle should be higher at a specific level that we're looking at. Or if you say that the market closed lower, we mean that the closing price of that candle, it closed below that a certain area of value that we're looking for. All these things, they give us a confirmation. So let me admit clearly. So if you look at this price here, I'll just clear this drawing now. If I just zoom in a bit here, we can see that the price on that previous week. Okay, let me switch to a candle because I always use the bar chart. They save a bit of space compared to the candles. So I will try to zoom in a bit so that everyone can see. Okay, so if we're looking at this candle, you can see that the closing price was above this area of value. That gave me a confirmation to say that the share price is now above the resistance level, right? So what we see from this, that the share price then started to trade above this level. If we were bearish, maybe we wanted to sell the Brent crude at the resistance level, at the support level, then we would have then saw that, okay, this is our confirmation here. Then it depends on how you can plan your trade around this level. But what I normally do is that, let's say now I'm bullish on Brent crude. Once it closes above this resistance level, I go back to the previous candle. In this case, it's this candle there. Then I will set my stop just below the low of the recent candle. The reason for that is because we don't know whether the share price is going to continue to move up or the price is going to go down. So if the price continue to go down and then it closes below this level, then it invalidates that long trade idea, meaning that I take a stop loss and then I exit. So every time when I say that I'm buying something, it means that I'm buying something and I'm setting a stop loss, because there's no guarantee that that particular trade is going to be profitable. If it's profitable, great, but if it's not profitable, I want to reduce my loss. I know that there are some people who consider themselves to be investors. They believe in buying and holding. Well, I classify myself as a trader, so I always practice risk management using a stop loss. That is not to say that the other approaches, they do not have risk management tools. I'm not familiar that much with value investing, but people, they try to find companies that are undervalued, and then depending on how far the current share price and the intrinsic value of the stock, then they try to use that as a buffer, right? So I'm not going to give an example of how they use value investing, because I don't want to mislead you in case I use it incorrectly. Right, another company that I was interested in. Okay, for the people that just joined, I said that if you have any company that you would like me to cover, to look at the chart, you can type there in the chat section. As I see it, then I will cover that company. And also be mindful that this Zoom session is recorded, and I will record it. I will upload it on YouTube. So if you are worried about your presence here, then at least now you know you can choose to stay or to leave. Right, so Sasol, for a while, it's been moving up nicely. A lot of people have been making money from the Sasol trade. Like I said, with the example of oil, what we're looking for, we're waiting for the share price to close above this trading range. So trading ranges are nice because they establish the price. We start to see the price trading between the support and resistance. Then we're either waiting for the price to break above the support, the resistance level, or break below the support level. And then if it breaks below the support level, it means that, because I only buy stocks, unless if you do short stocks, it means that I don't buy that, right? So is it still a good chance to buy Sasol? At this moment, the Sasol share price, as you can see, it's far from an area of value. I bought Sasol when it was trading at around 310. So at this moment, well, because I already have a position, there isn't much that I can do. But this is the area that I'm focusing on at this moment. If you look here, we have this potential resistance level around 308 rand there. And then the next resistance level is somewhere around 408. So if I were to plan a trade based on the current share price, what I would like to see is for the share price to push all the way to 380 and then start consolidating on the side, then forming another range. Once it breaks above that range, then I will buy at that breakout level, right? The reason why I wouldn't want to buy where it is at the current moment, in case the momentum fades a bit, what you can see is that the share price can come back and retest this breakout level. So at the current share price at 350 per share, it means that if it pulls back, it can go back, that's about 300 rand per share, unless you can absorb that 50 rand drawdown. But from my side, it's not a stock that I can just jump in there at the moment. So it's better that I wait either for it to reach 380 or 390, consolidate a bit. Hopefully the consolidation, we will see it if maybe people, they become too cautious about the stock, they start selling, so there will be a pressure between buyers and sellers. But if people are still excited and the oil price is pushing further to dollars per barrel or even 120. All right, Zodwa. Apologies about your network. We'll upload the video on YouTube, then you will be able to see what we discussed. But thanks for pitching. So yeah, if there are no buyers and sellers, I mean, if there are no sellers around 308, the share price can just go straight to 480, which is going to be good news for those who already own the stock, right? There is a company that I've been eyeing, but now I can't get a good area to buy. So I've been looking at Investec. So at this moment, you can see that Investec, it's a bit extended. If you put in a moving average, you can tell that the difference between the current share price and the moving average, it's a bit wide. It's about 15 Rand per share or so. So I can still buy here. But now you see, like I said, I use the recent candle as the low, meaning that my stop loss would be somewhere around 8 Rand per share. Then if you look at the difference, it's about 11 Rand 77 cent. That stop is a bit wide for me, so I'm willing to forego this company. But remember, I said that I bought Nedbank. Most of the banks, I'm bullish in all of them. There's no need for me to have a position in all the banks. I need to have a position in a stock that is giving me a reasonable risk to reward. But remember, this is on a weekly chart. Maybe you can also dial in a lower time frame. So maybe go to a daily chart and then try to find a support. So you see on the daily chart, the stop loss, it's much closer. The stop loss could be somewhere if you want to use the moving average as a stop loss. But if you want to use the previous day candle, then your stop loss could be somewhere around 88 Rand per share. But then that will boil down to your own risk management approach. I think looking at the daily chart, it makes sense for me if I were to take a swing position to have my stop loss somewhere around 88, because remember, this is the breakout level. So if the price come back and start trading anywhere below the breakout level, it means that at that particular period, then the upside trade or upside idea is invalidated. The reason why now I use a weekly chart to monitor my stocks is because I want to reduce my trading activity. I mean, some of us are busy during the week, so I don't want to constantly keep on checking the stocks. But if you have time, you can monitor the charts almost every day. Then you can use the daily chart. But if you are busy with something else, you can use the weekly time frame. Just that you need to have an idea of when to buy. The rules are always interchangeable. Whatever works in a smaller time frame can also potentially work in a larger time frame. So yeah, if you have questions, just keep on typing them there so that I don't ramble a lot. Let me see, there's a question that is coming. Okay, banks are on a potential uptrend. Okay, should we consider an ETF? Yes, I have a Satrix FINI ETF on my, let's see. Yes, there is a difference between the daily and the weekly time frame, because remember, with the daily time frame, each candle represents one trading day, but the weekly time frame, each candle represents 1 week. So all the action that happens between Monday and Friday is just it is shown in one candle rather than having 5 candles at once. So let's see, Satrix. I do have a Satrix FINI in my portfolio, the tax-free savings account. So I've been holding it since somewhere around 11 Rand 54 cent when it started to trade above this level. But I mean, if I have a position, it depends. Some people, they prefer to invest once. Some people, because you have capital that is coming, maybe if you're taking money from your salary, for example, then you can afford to invest each and every month. Then what I normally do is that I look at the chart. I always try to find a breakout levels so that I can add my position every time there is a breakout. As long as I'm bullish on a company, every time there's a breakout at a higher price, then I'm looking to add. So as you can see here, I think here we're either making a video or doing a stock analysis. So we noted that Satrix FINI, it came to about 14 Rand 50 per share, then started to trade lower, finding support on the moving average, and then it bounced up. So when it found a bounce here, we're expecting it to either find resistance level at this level or to just break above. And then what we saw is that this candle there about 4 weeks ago, it started to trade above this level. So you can buy 1 or 2 banks in your portfolio separately, and then also you can consider having a Satrix FINI. Remember, the financial ETFs does not just cover banks, it cover also insurance companies. And also there are some companies like a real estate investment trust that are classified as financials. So you do get a mix of those companies. So the Satrix FINI ETF won't necessarily perform as you would see the performance of the banks on their own, because it's just different companies. Like for example, there is a Momentum. I think the share code for Momentum is MMI. Okay, it's not MMI. I'm not even sure if Momentum still exists, because the companies, they keep on changing in the GSE. So you see Momentum, it's a bit erratic, it bounces up and down, but we'll find momentum in that Satrix ETF. As much as we see from October 2020, it's been moving upwards, but there isn't much action compared to the banks. So in an ETF, or if you're just buying a low cost index tracking ETF like the Satrix Top 40, you have all the top 40 companies based on market capitalization. Some of them, they perform well. Some of them, they don't perform well. So you've got a mix of of winners and some of the companies that are losers, right? You look at the company like Naspers. I don't own Naspers on its own. Previously, we covered which company that is associated with Naspers, I will remember Process. So the Process trade didn't work out, so we've already exited that position. So as you can see, I will answer your question now. So as you can see, Naspers is trading in a range. The only time that Naspers is going to be attractive for me is when Naspers start to trade above 2,800 Rand per share. At this moment, anything is possible. It can continue to keep on bouncing above this range, but the worst case scenario is that it breaks below. Since it's one of the, it's actually the largest company in the GSE by market capitalization. If it falls, it's possible that it can pull some of the companies down. Fortunately, the resources stocks are doing well so far. They are pulling the general market on the upside, right? The pros and cons of using daily over weekly. Like I said, for me, my decision is based on that during the week. I'm a bit busy. I don't have the time to watch the stock market every day, even though I do. And also it helps me to reduce trading activity, because now it means I have to wait for the Friday close so that I can see what was happening in the market for that particular week. But if you are either trading a contract for differences, CFDs, you can consider using the daily chart. I trade my stocks using EasyEquities. There are fees there, even though the commission is 0.25%. But I mean, the more you trade, you start the fees, they start to really pile up. So if you're using a broker where you trade CFDs without a commission, at least you are saving on fees. But now the problem, well, not to say that EasyEquities is perfect. Some of the brokers that allow you to trade commission free, they have what is called a spread. Basically, a spread is the difference between the bid and the ask. So if you look at, there's something called direct market access, meaning that if I want to buy Naspers at 2,800 Rand per share, my broker is going to match my order with a seller on the other side that is selling at 2,800 Rand. But if you are not trading direct market access, the broker is creating the market for you. They can sell you the shares at 2,850 or 2,750, depending on the direction of the market that you are taking. So if you are not paying fees, you are the fees. Just keep that in mind. There is nothing for free. We will pay for everything, right? Okay, so yeah, that is something that you need to be mindful of. I mean, in this channel, we only talk about trading. We don't cover tax stuff. So you also need to be mindful the tax that you're going to pay if you're trading using EasyEquities, and also the tax that you are expected to pay if you trade CFDs, because shares and CFDs, as much as on paper they look like the same thing, they are not actually the same thing. If you buy the actual shares on EasyEquities and you hold them for 3 years, and then you sell them after 3 years, you're going to pay capital gain tax, which at the moment is at a rate of 18%. But if you trade CFDs, SARS see you as someone who's trading for income. Depending on your current tax bracket, your profit are taxed at your current, I will just say the effective tax rate that you are being charged at. Because yeah, tax is the main issue and we don't talk about that topic a lot. But from my side, I try to ignore tax a bit because well, not to say that I'm ignoring it. I'm aware of it, but it's not that significant. I don't trade the large account. Remember, still you can still subtract about 40,000 from the profit that you make from trading stocks or from your capital gain tax in total. So unless you exceed that 40,000, then that's when you need to start to be worried about tax. For the people that just joined recently, if you have a question, you can type there. And then I will see your question, then I will respond to it. We're just looking at different charts to see where we can find trading opportunities. I'm just trying to find the email that I sent recently so that I can see which other companies that I've shared there. Okay, I said that I was looking at Astral. I don't have a position on Astral as yet, so I'm waiting to see how it goes. But to just give, why now I'm looking at Astral in India, but I want to give you an idea of how I would play the Astral trade should I end up taking the trade. Remember, some people, they say that they're buying the dip. Sometimes the dip, it keeps on dipping. As you can see, I like to see the companies to trade in a range before I buy it, because if they trade in a range, sometimes it happens that the volume, it dries down. Well, it's not something that is perfect that happens all the time. If it happens, it's great, meaning that during that consolidation period, if the volume dries down, it doesn't show that there are buyers and sellers. Hopefully, we are running out of sellers, so that when the price break above the resistance level, then we would like to see a large volume like this one, because that will give us a bit of a confirmation to say that there are people who are actually pushing the share price high. But even if Astral does break above this resistance level, we also have this level here to be mindful of, so that if the share price go to about 220 Rand per share, then we start to raise our stops, just in case the share price go up and then it come back maybe to retest the breakout level. Remember, trading is not perfect. It's something that has a lot of scenarios. Sometimes the price can just break above and then breaks above this resistance level, only for it to come back, retest that level and continue to move up. So if you want to improve your trading, you shouldn't be a person that believes a lot in certainty to say that the share price is going to do this or is going to do that. Those words are dangerous, because if the share price does not do that, you start to want to prove the point that you were right about this company doing this. If the share price move against you, just sell your position, admit that you are wrong. The JSE has over 300 companies, so there's no need to try and improve each and every single trade. How right are you? Because the more you try to prove that you are right and the market is wrong, it's also possible that your position, it's a losing position. It happens all the time. People, they do find ways to console themselves. For example, they start quoting Warren Buffett. I don't know if that does help them to ease their pain, but from my side, it doesn't help, right? So last week, we tweeted something about Bitcoin to say that if Bitcoin then breaks below this level, so I tried to draw a bearish flag there. Then I was said that if the share price drop below this level, it's possible that it can come and retest this 32,000. The mistake that I made, okay, it says I'm running out of time. We have 10 minutes. If you have questions, any questions, just keep them coming. So, right, do I believe in the cup and handle? Yes, I use the cup and handle a lot. The double bottom, if I can spot it, I use it. And then in terms of the head and shoulder, I use inverse head and shoulder. Remember that I buy, I don't sell. So my ideal scenario is that I see something like this, which is the opposite of this head and shoulder. This pattern is for when you are bearish, and then this pattern is for when you are bullish. So since I'm buying only, I'm interested in the inverse head and shoulder. In terms of cup and handle, yes, there are some companies where I've been looking to trade and invest, the cup and handle, but it hasn't happened. But let me just finish with Bitcoin. So instead of, I should have looked at least at the weekly time frame, because then I would have seen that the price on that day, I tweeted somewhere here when the price was at the bottom of the bear flag. So I'm not surprised that the share price moved up there. It shot up real quick. So now we want to see where the price will go to. So if it starts to trade above 42,000, it's possible that Bitcoin is going to continue to trade higher. But at this moment, we see that it is at a resistance level. So it's also possible that it can go down. Whichever scenario happens, then we will see. I don't short Bitcoin. I will never trade cryptocurrencies on leverage. For the people that are brave, then maybe it's their cup of tea. So a stock that I've been waiting forever for the cup and handle to work out is Coronation Fund Managers. I've been waiting. I drew the cup and handle. It seems like the cup is not filling, right? So yeah, I was expecting this cup and handle to play out, but for the cup and handle to play out, I wanted to see the share price of Coronation to trade above 57 Rand per share. As you can see now, the price is starting to move sideways outside the handle. Well, depending on how desperate you are, you can still pull out this handle to justify the trade. Then it starts to change. In my view, chart patterns are subjective. There are people who can spot nice chart patterns, but they are more subjective compared to using moving averages, for example. Because with the average, the moving average is either the price is above or below the moving average. It's just an absolute thing, not a subjective thing. So we will see. But there are some trades where the cup and handle worked very well. I'm not sure if it was Omnia. I traded Omnia about a year ago. The trade worked well at that time before it stopped. Then okay, it means it's not Omnia. Okay, maybe it is Omnia, but yeah, there was a company that I traded that looked like a cup and handle, and that trade worked as well. Yes, Tibazo says that with Remgro, the cup and handle, it worked as well. Let's look at the chart. And then remember that Remgro is a holding. Yes, it was Remgro, because that's where we saw, or that's where I saw something that looks like a cup and handle, and then it broke above this neckline. Then it traded higher. I'm still bullish. I'm still expecting the share price to come at least to this level. So if you look at Remgro is a holding company. If you have FIRE, I have FIRE in my portfolio. I do think about the FIRE position a lot, because Remgro owns about 30% of FIRE. So instead of having FIRE and Remgro, I'm just thinking if it's worthwhile to sell FIRE and then keep Remgro. But at the end of the day, it's different companies. They are going to behave differently. Let's see what it's there on RMB. I'm not sure if RMB is the one that is trading at 160. Somewhere around. There's RMH. Are you talking about this company or a different company? Because I know that there is RMB and RMI. But well, if you're talking about RMB holdings, let me try it. Okay, are you talking about RMB? I'm assuming that you are saying yes on RMB. At least if it was you who was sharing the screen so that you can share, where do you see the cup and handle there? Right, but I don't see the cup and handle at this moment. I don't own the stock. Okay, I think this is, was this even, oh wait, you see, because of that, this is where the share price is at. I was looking at the long time where it was trading above 50 Rand. Right, okay, yeah, well, this does look like a cup and handle. So let's see if it will trade above 1.70. So yeah, I've managed to zoom in a bit. So this does look a bit like it. I know a friend who's bullish on this stock. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will look at it. Let me just put a neckline here so that I pay attention, and then I will add the stock on my watch list so that once it starts trading above 1.70 per share, I can consider adding it on my portfolio. Renergen, it's bullish. On the email that we sent today, we had a Renergen chart. So yeah, I mean, it's bullish if you look at the chart. The thing of visiting the site, well, it's something that excites investors, but as you can see, it's outside this range. It's on the daily chart. There's that price that just popped out there on its own. But at this moment, from where I'm seeing it, it's above the trading range. So yes, it's bullish. Arcelor, the results are coming sometime this week. So, well, the trading statement was positive. So I don't know how that is going to impact the company, but as you can see, it's trading near the moving average, which is an area of value. If the results are indeed positive and the market interprets them as positive, then we can expect Arcelor to continue to trade high. If you just zoom out, I think I had to take profit somewhere around 12 Rand or 15 Rand per share. So yes, I'm bullish on Arcelor. Let me see if I can remember the share code in America, because I also traded Arcelor in the US. I have an account with eToro. Sometimes I buy the stocks in the US instead of South Africa. All right, the US chart doesn't inspire much confidence, but we will see as the results are coming. Not sure in terms of a dividend, but at least if the company is profitable, then maybe it can help to push the price a bit high. Let me see if I missed any question. Okay, I didn't miss anyone's question. Like I said, the ebook, you can find it for those that haven't gotten it. It's for free. You just need to go to our Gumroad. You can download the ebook there, and then you can read it. Well, there are some other things that we sell, but this ebook, it's there, it's for free for those people that still want to know. I'm assuming that you guys already know how to invest, but in this ebook, you will see the different asset classes that you can buy in the stock market with defined risk volatility, because sometimes people confuse these two, and then the difference between growth investing and dividend investing, depending on what you want to do, and then how you can use dividend investing to try and beat inflation. It does not work all the time, but for the times that it works, it's great. There is a table of content there of what to expect in that ebook. So I know that Martin said that we can extend the session, but this is the first time we are doing this, so I'm not going to extend the session today. I'm not sure if next week we should just do a live thing on YouTube, or we should consider doing this Zoom session, right? Let me see. I think it's okay. Crazy MT2 with ACL. I don't have concerns about liquidity. I mean, now that ever since it started to trade above 5 Rand, I never experienced a liquidity issue. Well, it's been a while since I traded Arcelor, but when it was trading below 1 Rand, that's when I experienced a bit of a liquidity. If you look at this share price, you can see the volume there. It's about 24.24 million shares that were traded on that week. And the week of last week, it's about 24 million shares. So, well, it's a bit a subjective question. I don't know when liquidity becomes an issue, but at this moment, whenever I place a trade, it does work. Otherwise, with EasyEquities, we'll have to place multiple trades. So thanks everyone for pitching in. If you have questions, I will upload this video. You can type them in the comment sections on YouTube. Then I will answer your questions. We're gonna repeat here today. Yeah, today I don't have a lot of energy, so please allow me to end it here today. Thank you everyone for pitching in. We'll continue this conversation on YouTube. Thanks.